Unlicensed 18-year-old driver slapped with 3 charges. Dwayne Harris, an 18-year-old laborer from Lot 253 Onderneming Sand Pit, Essequibo Coast, has been charged with multiple offenses related to driving without a valid license. The specific charges are as follows. Failure to have ID mark, rear, contrary to Section 13 of the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, Chapter 51:02. Unlicensed driver, contrary to Section 23(1) of the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, Chapter 51:02. Breach of insurance, contrary to Section 3(1) of the Motor Vehicles Insurance Traffic, Third-Party Risk, Act, Chapter 51:03. Harris was arrested on Wednesday, February 19, 2025, on the Onderneming Sand Pittsburgh Access Road. The charges were presented at the Suddy Magistrates Court on February 21, 2025, before Magistrate Tamika Clark, where he pleaded guilty to all charges. For the failure to have ID mark, rear, charge, Harris was fined $50,000, with a default sentence of 1 month imprisonment. For the unlicensed driver charge, he was fined $25,000, also with a default of 1 month imprisonment. For the breach of insurance charge, he received a fine of $20,000, again with a default of 1 month imprisonment. Harris's total fines amount to $95,000. If he fails to pay, he will serve a total of 3 months imprisonment. Police are investigating the alleged drowning of Sita Ghani. GPF, police are investigating the alleged drowning of Sita Ghani, a 44-year-old housewife of Lot 65 Garden of Eden, East Bank Demerara, which occurred at Aziza Akusa Creek, Madawini, Sosdike Linden Highway on February 24, 2025 at about 17:30 HRS. Inquiries disclosed that at about 1400 hours HRS on the said date, the deceased, Sita Ghani, along with her husband Vijay Ghani, a 45-year-old contractor of the above-mentioned address and other relatives went to the creek for a family outing. Further inquiries disclosed that at about 1700 hours HRS, Vijay and his wife were in the water along with other relatives when he left and went to take a drink. A few minutes later he saw his relatives exit the water but did not see his wife. He immediately raised an alarm and began making checks but could not locate her. About 15 minutes later he found her motionless body submerged in the creek and immediately rushed her to the Diamond Diagnostic Center, where she was pronounced dead on arrival by Dr. James at about 18:22 HRS. The body of the deceased was checked for marks of violence but none were seen. Vijay Ghani related that his wife normally suffers from epileptic seizures and that she might have had an attack while she was in the water. The body of the deceased was escorted to the Memorial Gardens Funeral Home awaiting a post-mortem examination. Retired Assistant Commissioner of Police charged with breach of anonymity. HGP Nightly News. Retired Assistant Commissioner of Police and former Chairman of the Police Service Commission, Mr. Paul Slough, CCH, DSM, appeared before Chief Magistrate, AG, Faith McGusty at the Georgetown Magistrates Court on Wednesday morning, where he pleaded not guilty to a charge of breaching the anonymity of a complainant in press reporting, contrary to Section 62(3) of the Sexual Offences Act. Mr. Slough was represented by a team of attorneys including Mr. Nigel Hughes, Mrs. Dawn Cush, and Ms. Narissa Leander. Last Friday, February 21, 2025, he attended the Brick Dam Police Station, where he was informed of the charge and subsequently placed on $200,000 station bail. The charge stems from an alleged incident in which Mr. Slough reportedly named the complainant in a sexual assault case currently being heard by Senior Magistrate Fabio Azor in Court 3. During the hearing, Mrs. Dawn Cush made an application for bail, emphasizing Mr. Slough's good character. She noted that he retired as an Assistant Commissioner of Police in 2010 after 37 years of service in the Guyana Police Force and served as Chairman of the Police Service Commission from 2018 until his removal in 2021, coinciding with the onset of his legal troubles. She highlighted that Mr. Slough had consistently appeared in person for all his court dates. The Chief Magistrate granted bail at a reduced sum of $50,000 with no objections from the prosecution. Attorney-at-law Nigel Hughes subsequently applied for Mr. Slough to leave the jurisdiction. He referenced a ruling in the David Patterson case, where Chief Justice, A.G. Roxanne George Wiltshire indicated that such applications must be made before a magistrate. The Chief Magistrate approved this application, and the matter was adjourned to March 5, 2025, for discovery. Mr. Slough was previously involved in a different case, where where charges related to a $10 million fraud were dismissed on December 27, 2023, due to the prosecution's failure to prove its case. The sexual assault case against Mr. Slough has been adjourned to March 7, 2025. Wanted man arrested months after fatal stabbing of brother-in-law in Corriverton. Terrence Simon Adams, a 29-year-old man wanted in connection with the fatal stabbing of his brother-in-law, Michael Jackson, was apprehended on Tuesday afternoon at his home in No. 76 Housing Scheme, Corriverton. Acting on newly obtained information, police officers arrived at Adams's residence around 2 p.m. They informed him of the allegations before taking him into custody. He was subsequently transported to the Springlands police station, where he remains while investigations continue. Michael Jackson, also known as Junior, from No. 72 Village, Correntine, was fatally stabbed on October 10, 2024, following a dispute with Adams. The two men, both fishermen who had previously enjoyed a good relationship, reportedly clashed over matters concerning Adams's children. An argument escalated into a physical altercation, which ultimately turned deadly. On the night of the stabbing, around 9 p.m., Jackson informed his sister, Selena Gobbin, that he had been attacked. She promptly wrapped his wound with a shirt and, along with neighbors, rushed him to Skeldon Public Hospital, where he succumbed to his injuries. Adams's arrest marks a significant development in the case, which had remained unresolved for several months. The police are continuing their investigation into the circumstances surrounding the stabbing and the events leading up to it. Businessman charged with murder of young partner. Newsroom. Marlon Da Silva, a city businessman, has been charged with the murder of his reputed wife and remanded to prison following the tragic incident that occurred days earlier. Da Silva appeared before Magistrate Wanda Fortune at the Diamond Magistrates Court on Wednesday, where he faced the serious charge of murder. During the hearing, he was not required to plead to the indictable charge, and the case has been adjourned to March 21, 2025. The charge was filed by the police in accordance with legal advice received from the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP. The violent incident reportedly took place at the couple's residence in Diamond Housing Scheme, East Bank Demerara, shortly after Da Silva returned home on Saturday night. Details surrounding the circumstances of the shooting remain under investigation as the community grapples with the shocking event. Nandlal objects to defendants appearing virtually for court cases while outside Guyana. In a recent commentary, Attorney General Anil Nandlal expressed strong opposition to the practice of allowing defendants facing criminal charges to attend court hearings virtually while outside of Guyana. He emphasized that such an approach undermines the territorial nature of criminal jurisdiction. The shift to virtual hearings, initially adopted during the pandemic, has since become a permanent aspect of Guyana's court system. While it has provided benefits, such as reducing travel costs and enabling prisoners in remote facilities to participate in hearings, Nandlal raised concerns about a troubling trend in magistrate courts. He noted that some defendants, after leaving the country for various reasons, have been permitted to attend court hearings via video link. Nandlal argued that this practice poses significant issues, as criminal jurisdiction is inherently territorial. A court cannot try you if you are outside its jurisdiction, he stated, explaining that if a defendant is abroad, the court cannot impose a sentence or enforce its ruling, lacking any coercive power over them. He warned that allowing defendants to attend hearings remotely from abroad could enable individuals to escape jurisdiction, attend court sessions, and evade the full consequences of their actions. This could severely weaken the legal process, he argued. While acknowledging that virtual hearings might be appropriate for defendants unwilling to appear in person, Nandlal insisted on the necessity of distinguishing between those who refuse to submit to the court's jurisdiction and those who are absent for legitimate reasons. He cautioned, "Imagine if every person charged with an offense simply fled the country and continued attending hearings virtually. It would render the entire judicial system impotent." The Attorney General also outlined procedural options available to the court in such cases. He noted that if a defendant absconds or refuses to comply with the court's jurisdiction, the law permits the court to proceed with the case in their absence. This could involve issuing arrest warrants and interpreting the defendant's absence as a refusal to participate in their defense. In these instances, the court may even proceed to deliver a sentence in absentia if it determines that the individual is deliberately avoiding their legal responsibilities.